There's something happening in your life right now that no one ever taught you to see. It's invisible, but it's deciding everything you experience. And the moment you understand it, you'll never see your reality the same way again. Every possibility that could exist for you, every success, every relationship, every future is already alive in the quantum field. Not waiting for someday, waiting for you to lock it in. Here's the part that changes everything. Reality doesn't form on its own. It forms in response to the observer. To you. In quantum physics, particles don't just sit there, ready-made. They exist as a cloud of probabilities until someone looks, and the act of looking forces them into a single outcome. That's not philosophy. That's science. This means you are not drifting through a fixed universe. You are shaping it moment by moment, through what you choose to notice, believe, and feel. Your focus is not harmless. It's an instruction. But here's the problem: most people are observing on autopilot. They keep feeding energy to the same struggles, the same identities, the same old story, and then wonder why nothing changes. The field doesn't bend for desire alone. It bends for coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and nervous system broadcast the same frequency, the observer effect locks onto a new reality instantly. So the real question isn't if the observer effect is shaping your life, it's how you've been using it without knowing. And once you see that, you'll understand why this is the missing key to quantum manifestation, and why nothing in your life has ever been random. Most people have been taught that manifestation is about doing more. Visualize longer. Repeat the perfect affirmation. Write it in your journal every single day until the ink runs dry. But here's the truth you've probably never been told. If the observer hasn't changed, if the you doing those things is still the same, you are not creating anything new. You're just dressing up the same signal in different clothes, because the universe doesn't respond to the image in your mind. It responds to the frequency in your being. And your frequency is not an abstract concept. It's measurable. It's embodied. It's the sum total of your identity, your beliefs, your nervous system state, your emotional patterns. Imagine this. You say, "I am abundant," with your mouth, but your chest feels tight. Your breath is shallow. Your stomach is clenched. What do you think the field is hearing? It's not hearing, "I am abundant." It's hearing, "I am in scarcity." It's hearing, "I am not safe." It's hearing, "I am still the same observer I was yesterday." This is where most people get trapped. They think they're speaking to the quantum field with their intentions. But the truth is, the field isn't listening to words. It's listening to coherence. Coherence is when your thoughts, emotions, and physical state are broadcasting the same message. When the mental image matches the emotional tone, and both match the physiological state, only then does the observer effect collapse reality into something new. Without coherence, you can want something with all your mind, but the field will still give you what your being is tuned to. And that is always your dominant signal. Think about the way most people visualize. They picture a new reality, but the emotions that rise up are doubt, impatience, or unworthiness. And those emotions are not just background noise, they're the actual broadcast. They become the instruction to the field. That's why people feel like they're manifesting in reverse, trying to create abundance while somehow attracting more lack. It's not because they're cursed. It's because the observer hasn't shifted. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. In quantum physics, there's a concept called entanglement. It means that two particles, once connected, remain linked no matter how far apart they are in space. Change one, and the other changes instantly. This isn't science fiction. It's been proven in laboratories again and again. What does that mean for you? It means that you are already entangled with your future self. The version of you who has the life you want is not out there in some distant timeline. It's connected to you right now. It's alive in the field. It's broadcasting a frequency. And you can feel that connection if you pay attention. But here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They think manifestation is about pulling that future toward them. They try to jump into it without first becoming the version of themselves who naturally belongs there. This is where quantum jumping comes in and why so many fail to make the leap. Jumping is not about forcing yourself into a reality. It's about shifting your identity so fully that the leap happens automatically. You stop chasing the future and start matching it. The field recognizes the match and the collapse happens instantly. So ask yourself, if you are already entangled with every possible version of you, why haven't you collapsed the one you want? The answer is simple. The observer you is still tuned to the old frequency. And until that changes, no amount of vision boards, affirmations, or meditation marathons will change your life in any lasting way. That's why understanding the observer effect is not just an interesting idea, it's the missing key to quantum manifestation. And when you see it clearly, you'll stop wasting energy on methods that keep you stuck and start focusing on the only thing that actually changes reality, becoming the observer you're desired. Reality needs you to be. If the observer effect is the missing key, then the next question is obvious. How do you change the observer? Most people think change happens by forcing new habits or by endlessly thinking positive thoughts. But if your nervous system is still living in the past, you'll keep collapsing the same reality over and over again. Here's why. Your body is not just a collection of cells. It's a history book. Every experience you've lived has left a chemical signature, a cocktail of hormones and neurotransmitters that your body remembers. And over time, that memory becomes automatic. You think you wake up each morning as a new you. But before your feet even touch the floor, your brain is already firing the same patterns, producing the same emotions you felt yesterday. Your body has learned to be you, better than your mind has. This is what Joe Dispenza calls living in the past. The moment you recall an old problem, your body begins to feel its stress, frustration, fear. Those emotions are not just feelings. They are instructions to the field. They signal, this is my reality. And so, the observer effect faithfully collapses more of the same. If you want to create a new reality, you cannot just think differently. You must feel differently. And here's the hard truth. Your body will resist. Because to the body, familiar feels safe, even if it's miserable. That's why change often feels uncomfortable. It's not that you're doing it wrong. It's that you're breaking the chemical addiction to your old self. Think about this. Every thought produces a chemical. That chemical produces a feeling. That feeling feeds back into more thoughts of the same quality. This is the loop that keeps the observer locked to one frequency. To break it, you have to interrupt the loop, not just in the mind, but in the body. It starts with awareness. The moment you notice you're reliving an old emotional pattern, catch it. Don't judge it, but don't indulge it. Pause, breathe. When you slow your breath, you send a new signal to the nervous system. We are safe now. From that place, you can plant a new intention. Not a desperate wish, not a mental chant. A clear, elevated state of being. One where the thought of your future matches the feeling in your body. This is coherence. When you hold that state even for a few moments, the observer effect begins to respond. Because the field is not responding to effort, it's responding to the frequency of your being. And here's the part that blows most people's minds. You don't have to wait for the new reality to show up before you feel it. In fact, you can't wait. If you wait, you're still the old observer, reacting to what is. Instead, you feel it first. You live from it now. And the more often you do, the more your body begins to believe that this is the new normal. Your nervous system starts tuning itself to the frequency of your future self. This is how you step out of the past without physically moving an inch. You're no longer collapsing the same probabilities, you're accessing new ones. And once the observer shifts, the external world has no choice but to follow. So ask yourself, what emotions does your future self live in every day? Gratitude? Freedom? Love? Those emotions are not rewards, they're the entry code. AR. The signal the quantum field is waiting for. The sooner you feel them without condition, the sooner the observer effect will reorganize everything around you to match. Changing the observer is not a one-time revelation, it's a daily recalibration. Because the moment you stop consciously tuning yourself, the old frequency starts to creep back in. Think about it. You've spent years, maybe decades, being the same observer, running the same mental scripts, rehearsing the same emotional responses. Your brain is wired for it. Your body is conditioned to it. The field has been collapsing your reality according to it. So if you want a different life, you have to become a different observer on purpose every day. This is where most people fail. They hear about the observer effect and think, I get it now, so everything will change. But knowing the principle doesn't rewrite the program. Repetition does. Embodiment does. Here's the truth. Every morning, you step into a version of yourself that you choose consciously or unconsciously. Most people choose unconsciously. They open their eyes, remember their problems, feel the same emotions, and without realizing it, they just locked in yesterday's reality again. But you can disrupt this pattern. You can train yourself to install a new observer the moment you wake up. It starts before you even get out of bed. Step 1. Awareness. Catch the first thoughts that show up. Are they about what's missing? About yesterday's stress? If so, you're already collapsing the past. Step 2. Interrupt. Slow your breath. Place your attention on the present moment until your body softens. This sends the signal. New frequency. Loading. Step 3. Embody. Choose one elevated emotion that your future self lives in daily: gratitude, freedom, power, and feel it now. Not as a performance, but as if it's the most natural thing in the world. Step 4. Observe differently. See your life from that emotion. Interact with your surroundings as if they already match your future. This isn't pretending. This is reprogramming. Because when you repeatedly observe life through the lens of your future self, the field reads that as the new baseline. Joe Dispenza often says, your personality creates your personal reality. Change your personality, the way you think, feel, and act, and reality has no choice but to reorganize. Not gradually, but instantly in the field. The physical world simply takes time to catch up. And here's the part most people overlook. It's not about trying harder. The field doesn't reward struggle. It responds to coherence. If your thoughts, emotions, and body language are telling 3 different stories, nothing changes. But when they match, the signal becomes unmistakable. That's why even 5 minutes of true coherence is more powerful than hours of empty affirmations. It's like tuning a radio. Once you're on the exact frequency, you don't have to scream to be heard. The signal just flows. So every day you have a choice. Wake up as the observer who recreates yesterday, or wake up as the observer who's already living your future. And here's the kicker. Once you get a taste of that alignment, it's addictive in the best possible way. You start to crave that state. You start to realize that reality isn't chasing you, you're leading it. Because when you master this, you're no longer at the mercy of your environment. You are instructing the field with precision. And the field responds every time. Most people live as if the world is fixed. They think circumstances are permanent. They wake up, react to the same thoughts, replay the same emotional loops, and wonder why nothing changes. This is the ordinary observer. It doesn't question. It doesn't choose. It simply reacts. And every reaction reinforces the old reality. Now, imagine the quantum observer. This observer sees what's happening, but doesn't automatically participate in the old patterns. It notices the story, but doesn't have to keep telling it. It recognizes the emotional signals in the body and interrupts them consciously. It knows that every thought, every feeling, every micro-expression is a command to the field. Here's the difference. The ordinary observer collapses probability into repetition. The quantum observer collapses probability into possibility. Think of it like a musical instrument. The ordinary observer hits the same note over and over, predictable, familiar, and limited. The quantum observer learns the entire scale, plays new harmonies, and suddenly the song of life changes. Joe Dispenza explains this as the difference between personality and potential. Your personality is conditioned by your past. It creates the old reality. Your potential is the you that exists beyond the past, ready to collapse into a new reality. The question isn't whether your dream life exists. The question is, why haven't you tuned into it yet? Every time you emotionally engage with the same old thoughts, you make them more real. Every time you react from old patterns, the field has no choice but to reflect that reality back to you. But when you tune into a higher possibility, even if it hasn't happened yet, the field begins to collapse that possibility into form. When the observer changes, reality changes. Instantly, at the field level, even if your circumstances take time to align. Here's the subtlety most people miss. The quantum observer isn't someone else you become in the future. It's a state you access in the present. It's the awareness that notices the old pattern and chooses a new one. It's the consciousness that elevates the frequency of your entire being. Every thought you don't have, every reaction you don't give, every moment you stay present instead of reacting, that's a micro leap for your observer. It rewires the nervous system. It strengthens coherence. It trains your body to feel the future before it happens. And once your body knows it, your mind follows naturally. Because, as Dispenza points out, your body is the keeper of memory. The nervous system will always insist on the familiar until it learns the new. That's why repetition, practice, and awareness are not optional. They are the tools that transform the ordinary observer into the quantum observer. The tools that collapse infinite possibilities into the life you've been trying to create. So here's the choice in front of you. Keep observing the world unconsciously and keep recreating the past. Or step into the quantum observer, tune into your potential, and finally become the conscious director of your reality. And here's the most important part. You can start doing it right now. Your attention, your coherence, your state of being, those are the dials. Turn them deliberately, and the observer effect will do the rest. Now that you understand the difference between the ordinary observer and the quantum observer, the next step is to put it into practice. Because knowledge alone doesn't collapse reality. Action does. Action with awareness, focus, and coherence. Here's the quantum observer in action. Step 1 is observation without reaction. Most people immediately react to life, frustration, fear, impatience. The quantum observer notices these impulses, but doesn't give them energy. You're not suppressing the old patterns. You're acknowledging them and choosing not to feed them. Step 2 is body alignment. Your nervous system holds the past. Old fears, insecurities, and habitual stress responses are stored chemically in your body. If you don't interrupt these patterns, your body keeps broadcasting the old frequency to the field. So before you try to create, calm the system, slow your breath, relax your muscles, soften your shoulders. Let the body know the new reality is safe. This sends a powerful signal. I am ready for something different. Step 3 is emotional rehearsal. Feel the emotion of the reality you want, not wish for it, not imagine it, but feel it in your nervous system. Gratitude, freedom, confidence, love, whatever your future self lives in daily. This is the language of the field. As Joe Dispenza explains, your attention combined with emotion instructs the quantum field. Thought alone is weak. Emotion alone is unfocused. Coherence is what matters. Step 4 is mental focus and intention. Direct your attention like a laser beam. Choose one possibility, your chosen reality, and observe it with unwavering clarity. The quantum field doesn't respond to effort or struggle. It responds to precise, sustained observation. Every time your mind wanders back to old patterns, gently bring it back. This is practice, not punishment. Step 5 is integration into daily life. You don't need to sit in meditation for hours. Even short periods of coherence, repeated daily, start to rewire the nervous system. The body begins to anticipate the new reality, and the observer effect starts collapsing those probabilities into form. Your life starts to align because your internal state has already aligned. Now, imagine doing this consistently. Every morning, you rise and immediately calibrate your observer. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to practice coherence. Every thought is a command, every emotion a signal. The quantum observer doesn't rely on motivation. It relies on training the self to be consistent, deliberate, and coherent. You are literally becoming a new version of yourself each day. And here's the subtle power of this process. It's not about forcing outcomes. It's about becoming a frequency that naturally attracts the reality you desire. Your effort diminishes. As your coherence grows, the field recognizes alignment instantly. You don't push reality toward you. You allow it to collapse around your chosen observer. So the question isn't whether this works. It's whether you're ready to become the observer your future self needs you to be. Because the moment you commit to these steps, the observer effect is no longer theoretical. It becomes your daily reality-shaping tool. Imagine waking up tomorrow and the world is waiting for you, not passively, but expectantly. Every particle, every probability, every unseen possibility is tuned to your awareness. Ready to collapse into form. You sit up in bed, eyes closed, and notice the subtle currents inside your body. Tension in your shoulders, a tightness in your chest, the old knots in your stomach. This is the residue of yesterday, the imprint of the observer you've been. And yet, even here, the connection is active. Even here, the quantum field is listening. You breathe deliberately, slowly, fully. Your nervous system softens. Your body begins to feel a new possibility before it even exists. It's subtle at first, the whisper of freedom, the spark of potential, the pulse of alignment, but it's unmistakable. Now imagine your attention like a lighthouse beam, cutting through the fog of old patterns. You shine it deliberately on what you want, not on what you fear. Every cell in your body feels it. Every thought bends toward coherence. Every emotion rises in harmony. The quantum field responds instantly, not to your effort, not to your willpower, but to the resonance of your being. Your observation alone instructs the field. Your coherence alone begins to collapse infinite possibilities into one reality, the one you are choosing right now. And then, without forcing it, the world begins to answer. A conversation shifts, an opportunity appears, a choice presents itself. Synchronicities line up not by luck, not by chance, but by the signal you are radiating. You feel it in your body, the certainty that your future self already exists, already thriving, already walking through the reality you desire. You don't need proof. You don't need outcomes yet. The observer effect is already at work. And the more you embody this awareness, the more natural it becomes. This is the power of being the quantum observer. The ordinary self reacts. The quantum self instructs. The ordinary self waits. The quantum self calls forth. And here's the invitation. Start to inhabit this state. Before the day begins, before the world imposes its script, feel the frequency of your chosen reality. Notice it in your breath, your heartbeat, your posture, your attention. Hold it not briefly, not casually, but as a signal the field cannot ignore, because once you do, nothing will ever be the same. Your life is no longer a reflection of past patterns. It is a reflection of the observer you have chosen to be. And every moment from here on becomes a chance to collapse the future you desire into the present, right now. The connection is alive. The signal is waiting. The observer effect is listening. And you have the power to direct it consciously, deliberately, every day. Now, let's step back and see the full picture. The observer effect is not theory. It is the instruction set of the universe. And you, yes, you are the one issuing the commands. Most people live as if life happens to them. They wake up, react, repeat, and wonder why nothing changes. They replay yesterday's thoughts, yesterday's emotions, yesterday's reality. And every repetition solidifies the past. You have a choice. Continue like them or step into the quantum observer. Because the observer doesn't wait. It doesn't hesitate. It doesn't ask for permission. When you embody coherence, when your mind, your emotions, and your body are aligned, the field responds immediately. Not because you're trying harder, not because you want it enough, but because the frequency you radiate has become undeniable. Joe Dispenza explains it like this: the body remembers the past, and it will insist on the familiar until it learns the new. The quantum observer interrupts that cycle. It sends the signal of the future back into the present. It collapses infinite possibilities into the reality you are ready to live. And here's the crucial point. The observer effect doesn't care about your doubts. It doesn't wait for your permission. It responds to your state of being, your focus, your coherence. Every thought, every feeling, every subtle micro-expression is an instruction to the field. Every moment you align internally, reality starts to rearrange externally. This is why urgency matters. Every day spent unconsciously is a day the field obeys the old patterns. Every second distracted is a second your potential reality is delayed. The moment you understand this, hesitation becomes impossible. So here's the power you've been given. Your future self already exists. It is entangled with you, waiting for your attention. The observer effect is listening. The field is ready. And the universe will respond when you are coherent enough to give it a clear signal. This is not fantasy. This is physics and neuroscience intertwined. Your body, your mind, your attention, they are the instruments. Your emotions are the language. Your coherence is the command. The quantum observer does not react to circumstance. It chooses, it instructs, it manifests. It does not wait for permission. It creates. And once you step fully into this role, nothing will ever be the same. Opportunities appear. Synchronicities multiply. Your future self becomes tangible, present, alive in your daily experience. So now the question is no longer how. It is, will you become the observer your future self needs you to be? Will you radiate coherence, collapse probabilities, and take command of reality itself? The observer effect isn't waiting for the perfect moment. It's active right now. Right now, your attention is a command. Right now, your coherence is instruction. Right now, your future self is calling you. And if you answer, everything changes forever.